going on, everybody? You're now tuned into The Biz with D, and right now we have the beautiful, talented, gorgeous Maya on the line with us. How's it going?
Wonderful. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. So blessed to have you on the show. So thank you so much for coming on and gracing us.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime. So, you have been so successful with your career, 16 years, and I got to say congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
No problem. And how do you say grounded? After these 16 years, being in the game so long.
Prayer. Prayer and a miracle. Prayer and a miracle. I'm just kidding. Honestly, I do a lot of prayer and reading and writing just to keep myself sane and released. And keeping great people around me at all times, staying close to my family. Friends from grade school, high school. And always doing what I love to do, even if that is not seen by the public always. I have to keep Maya happy. So, a combination of things. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I can dig it. And so now, I got to ask you about, your acting career, because you've done great with that. Like the movie Chicago, I saw you in that. I was like, yes. Flawless.
Wow.
Like, how do you like the acting side of, entertainment and, with the business with that? Because it's a little bit different than the music side that people, would actually think.
Well, I grew up watching black and white films, and Broadway was actually one of my initial pursuits, starting at the age of 15 for Black and Blue. I was going to go on the international tour. I come from a theater background, so acting is very natural to me. However, I have lots of homework to do when it comes to film because it's totally different. Film and television acting is completely different than theater. So I have a great appreciation for the art form, but there's so much more knowledge that I need to attain to perfect my craft in that realm. But it all goes hand in hand, and it's a complement of, self-expression and an extension of who you are or who you aspire to be or someone else's story, which I find really intriguing about acting.
Absolutely. And now, just wondering, since we're talking about acting, who would you like to play? Like, like if there was like somebody was to do like a biopic, if there was like one person whose life that you would like to portray, who would that be?
Probably Josephine Baker.
Ooh.
The young Josephine Baker, the pre-story before she became Josephine Baker. Yeah, and beyond. But I would definitely want to tell her story of how she became who she was.
Definitely. And has she, like her story, and, has she inspired you some ways with your career?
Well, I was not, hip to Josephine Baker and her earlier life as a teen until later in my late 20s. So she's now an inspiration as a woman and how she adopted many children and had an orphanage and all kinds of things. So I'm inspired by her now as a grown woman, but I wasn't hip to Josephine as a young child. She was a very racy character that my parents did not expose me to. Very controversial woman,
Right. Did your parents try to keep you away from that kind of like racy stuff, like growing up?
Well, I was very sheltered. I didn't have cable until I became a recording artist.
Oh, wow.
Yes. I was very sheltered, but, my dad was a musician, and he always had a band over, and they would do a lot of funk, 70s music, and top 40 as well. But I was exposed to the recording studio earlier in my life, like around 10 years old, and I was also exposed to the church and gospel since I was about 4 years old. So I think I had a very balanced life. I was in dance costumes that looked like Lady Marmalade at 2 years old, So it was a little different of a tone, but, I was wearing leotards and all kinds of things to dance. So as far as boys, I had a very sheltered life. Boys were not allowed to call the house. No, I was not allowed to date, none of that stuff. No boyfriend whatsoever.
Wow.
and got some great grades.
That's crazy. Did you
No,
try
it
to
wasn't. It was very
like
nice.
have a boyfriend
Well,
sometimes?
the girls, all of the other girls had boyfriends, and on Valentine's Day, I was the outcast. Nobody gave me flowers or a nice balloon, so it was depressing for me. But it was necessary. All of that discipline, got me to where I am, and it instilled survival skills, discipline skills, self-sufficiency skills that I could utilize later on in life. And, there's no distractions to take you off tangents. So I had a chance at success, and however people define success, but I had a chance in life to see it as something outside of maybe my neighborhood and my block and my county and in my state or my country. And, the possibilities are limitless when someone does raise you and say, no, you're not doing that. Don't ask why, because I said so, and it makes a big difference, So I'm very thankful for my upbringing because it kept me out of trouble.
Absolutely. I know how that is. I got to say, I'm the exact same way because, I couldn't imagine even myself honestly seeking what I would be like as a badass. Well, I'm bad now, but me as a kid, oh my gosh, that's a whole other subject.
I don't even want to ask.
Woo! That would be an off-air conversation.
So put me on blast, but you can't be put on blast.
Look, I'll tell you, I was growing up. I was very behavioral stuff like that. But now, once of course, when you get to your teenage years, you get a little bit rebellious. Your tongue is a little bit slicker than what it should be. So I was cussing people out, telling them shut the fuck up and everything.
Oh my! At what age?
This was about. I want to say I was not even 15.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not as bad as 9-year-olds today. Okay.
I might have. You know what? I might have been because it was a situation. This before my mom had got married to my stepdad.
Okay.
I had let him have it.
Well, I'm sure because you're protective of your mom, and you probably got jealous that he wasn't your dad, technically, biologically. So
Yep.
I'm sure all kinds of feelings arose.
You hit it right on the nose.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we bottle inside, and unfortunately comes out the wrong way sometimes, especially at that age when we are kind of borderline adults, but not quite given the same rights and really don't know much about life. Yeah, and living under somebody else's roof too, that you have to abide by,
Mhm. And of course, when you get older, it's just like, oh my gosh, I'm this age, and I don't want to abide by the rules. I want to be, different.
Yeah.
You know how that goes in life. But let me, because you did bring up love, and you did release a new EP on Valentine's Day, so I definitely wanted to go straight in and talk about that because I love the fact that you didn't give anybody really a heads up on this project. You just kind of, you made some appearances last year at the awards and stuff like that, telling people that the, album was coming. But the fact that you just, social media-wise, you just took it there and was putting out snippets of songs, I was like, you know what? Maya is on to it. I love it.
Well, it was sort of a last-minute thing.
What
the grace of God, allowed me to, I guess, wake up probably 2.5 weeks prior to Valentine's Day, and I had a discussion with a couple of producers. I said, you know what? It was 16 years ago that I released my first single, and people have been writing with me, and I'm tired of waiting on people, to say they're going to do this or release that. And I just got tired of waiting, so I said, this is what we're going to do. I'm sitting on tons and tons of music and archives that stay in the studio. I need to gift my fans with something
Right.
And hopefully more than one song, because it's 16 years that day, and instead of waiting around on somebody to make me feel special, how about I make somebody else feel special? And I have a lot of stuff that I have not released just yet. I've been talking about it, but let's take some action. It's 2014. Get on it, Maya. So I had that conversation with myself first, and then a couple of producers that I've been working with for years. I'm independent, so, hey, it costs to make music, but it also costs to pay for it before you release it and get all the legal stuff done, publishing splits done. And we did it. Artwork done in 2 weeks. and then get it up on iTunes. So it was all a process, but it was very quick, and I'm just happy that I was able to put it into the universe for the fans. I wasn't trying to release an album, but I was just trying to give them something out of love from my heart that was made with love. Music that I was wanting to do that spoke to me, that I felt deserved to be in the universe.
Mm-hmm. And I have to say, I love the fact that, with the whole situation with you going from, being signed to a major label to making that decision, do I want to sue the label for what it was, what it would technically will be owed, or do I just want to go independent? I have to say, I just, as a woman and just as a artist, like, period, I respect that, because a lot of people don't take the opportunity to say, you know what, I'll be independent because this way I can release my music when, it's best for me. I'm not obligating to nobody's contract but mine, to myself, and, to, what the fans may want. And that's a big step, an initiative to take in your career.
Well, opportunity presented itself, and a circumstance presented itself where I could have gone 2 different ways. I could have ended up in court suing my label, or gone independent and spared myself a year or a year and a half, sitting in court to sue them for a lot of things. But I said, you know what? Let me not do that. I have to learn something through this, so let's just take the higher route.
Mm-hmm.
And just move on. It happens for a reason, so let's apply it to doing something different. And that's what prompted me to go independent. Now, independent is very tough. It has its pros and cons, but I know that you get back to the root of why you started music in the first place. I got back to the root of, guess what? When I'm singing in the high school hallways, it feels like that now, And sometimes being attached to a company that is putting up the money kind of dictates, no, this is what we're going to promote, or it's not going to come out. Well, you got to do this, you got to do that if you want to be on the radio, or, sometimes that doesn't really fit your truth. And sometimes it's great, because I can't really complain. I am established because of the major, but a lot of interference can possibly take place in getting out what you want your fans to have. And now it's easier because of the internet. But you also have to have ownership, of your stuff if you want to get it out there, because there's so many processes behind just one song, just to release it. Just on iTunes.
Right.
Just all kinds of stuff that most people don't understand. They just think you go in the studio and release a song the next day. That is so not how it works.
Yes.
If it did work like that, I'd be releasing a song, probably 5 songs a day. But
well, you can on SoundCloud.
There's a lot of legal stuff that has to
be
per song, paperwork trails and finances, all that good stuff.
And copyright.
I love
I don't like. Yeah, I can never put out music without copyright in it first. So that would be the first. That's why I would never put out something every day myself.
It's beautiful, though. Shit. Anyway.
Yeah. But I love this conversation that we're having right now. It feels like so, like, not even like an interview. I just had to say that. I love it.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like that. Good conversation.
So now, what's like has definitely been like one struggle that you had, like as being a CEO of a label.
I would say time management. You
Mhm.
know, I'm an artist first, but sometimes I have to spend a whole day or a week drafting contracts and answering emails, as well as, contacting everybody, as well as funding everything myself 100%, to own it 100%. Everything's an expense from travel, hotel, flight, car service. If I got to drive 13 hours, sometimes I will, to save a budget so that I can be somewhere for a week shut down. There's a lot that goes
Mhm.
into this creation of music. And then after you create it, the polishing of it with mixing and mastering and photo shoots and styling and all kinds of stuff that you wouldn't even imagine. So being behind the scenes on the business side takes up a lot of time away from
Mhm.
my artistry, but it makes it that much more important and lovable because it's so necessary to make sure that it ends up right and that it's not half-assed when it comes out, or the presentation is not whack or something that I never approved, which can easily happen when it's in someone else's hands. So I like it. I love it. But I would say time and budget, those are probably the cons, because you as one individual have to do many things and generate all of it alone.
Right. Trust me, I know exactly how that can be because I have my own independent label for myself, and then I help my sister who's on American Idol. She has her own independent label as well. So trust me, I know how you gotta have that budget for the photo shoots, then the graphic design, and then the travel expenses, and what's going to be shorter. And a lot of people don't get when you are an independent artist, there are the perks, the flaws, but it you got to put in that time for real. Not being a major artist where everything is like snap, snap, snap. The label's handling, you're traveling, and X, Y, and Z. You've got to you as the independent artist, the CEO, you have to really be mindful of what you're doing with these things.
Oh my Lord. I'll be security, I'll be road manager, I'll be manager, I'll be lawyer, I'll be all kinds of things, travel agent, all in the same day. And then, and then I got to be a person too, and read my passages, as well as daughter, a mother to my animals, all kinds of stuff, auntie. But an artist, that should take precedent. And then sometimes I get to that last, which is not good, because all of these other things have to take place business-wise.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, it is conditioning for how you got to get it. If you want it, there is a way. It might take a little longer, but where there is a will, and there is definitely a will over here, there's a way, and you make that way. So I love it.
I was just about to say, when there's a will, there's a way, because my friend Natasha, who also loves your music, she wanted me to tell you, she said, hey.
Hey, Tasha.
She always says to me, she's like, you know what, David, when there's a will, there's a way. She has this fight. Her energy and your energy is very, very similar. Y'all could connect. You might have to have a conversation with her on her show. I'm just saying.
Nice.
She be on it, and she says the exact same thing. And a lot of people don't get the fact that when you have the mentality to do something, or when you want to do something, you got to do it. You got to make what little you may have, because it may lead you to something that's even higher than.
And it always does. It opens up new doors, new relationships, opportunities, connections. When you just do one thing, it might be the wackest thing in the world, but because you did it, you have met probably 500 new people because of where that took you. You know what I'm saying? So people can talk all they want and rip you to pieces and criticize what you've signed up to be when you're an artist or anything public.
Mm-hmm.
But every opportunity has led to greater opportunities. And everything is a stumbling block or a stepping stone, Not everything's going to be perfect, even when you think it's perfect. But everything leads to something, and usually greater every time. So I'm old now, and I can say
Whatever. That. You are not hardly old.
I'm wisdom on the phone and stuff now. I couldn't say that when I stepped in the game 16 years ago. It was kind of like grade school.
Mm-hmm. But you know what, though? It shows that that as a woman, you've grown so much that you can even just, be that way and share wisdom.
Yes. Time to write a book.
Would you like to write a book?
I sure would. I can't get all of this out in one song or an album. Come on now.
I think you should do a book, and you should have like a biopic about your life. I would love to see it.
Now hold on now. I'm a little too young for that. But
I mean, in the future, down the lines. I mean, yes, you are too young for that now.
In the future. Mhm. But yes, I would love to write books.
Because I mean, you're such a dope artist, and I don't think that people get to see, a lot of this is just the reality of life. And I would just say this while we're on the phone, and so that the audience can hear. A lot of people, when it comes to the see like the big stars, like your Temptations, your the ones that were like voila, fantastic. Not saying that you're not, because you are, but they never they never do the movies on the underrated ones, the ones that are really killing it, the ones that are really fantastic.
Well, they have reality shows nowadays, so there's all kinds of stuff that you can do, and everything's so fast-paced as well. And
true,
artist development is not what it used to be back in the day. So there's lots more artists today, and singles versus albums, and all kinds of technology and mobile ringtones that you can take advantage of versus that album and waiting 2 years for that artist to put out another album. It's not that way anymore because technology has advanced and everything's very quick, and you forget about it like the next week or a month. And then they have a new iPhone. You know what?
So
you
true.
Know what? I just bought my phone. Hold on, y'all coming out with a 6? What? Everything is just fast nowadays. So
I'd be so mad when they want to come out with these new ones, because I said I wasn't going to do it, but I had to buy my iPhone 5C because I was like, oh, I like the fact that it's blue. I'm a blue freak. Like, if we ever meet in person, which, God willing, we will, you would see blue case this, blue this. You were like, yo, David is on one with this blue. But I was like, now why do you got to come out with this 6 in a couple months, though? I'm like, you just came out with this 5C.
It's a business.
It's killing me.
It's a business. Business goes fast. Artistry takes time.
But let's talk a little bit more about this the EP With Love, because I have to say the work that you and Yanni, I know used to chat with Yanni like way before he had his placement with Say I and everything, and when that was happening, like, so just to see the fact that him working with somebody like you and you working with him, I'm just like, wow, because you both are like dynamite dope.
Wow. People are liking the production marriage between Yanni and I quite a lot. Yanni and I have actually been working since 2006 or 2007 when I was still signed to Motown, and we met online. I was casting new talent to start my independent thing while I was signed to a major label, and Yanni was one of those that caught my ear. So we started communicating via Gmail and just started trading ideas just via email. And he landed a remix to one of my songs called Ridin', and we featured Trina on that. But ever since I released my first independent project, well, he's been on every one of those. So he's also on the EP, and I thought that he deserves some executive producer credit because he did 3 out of the 4 songs that were on there. Mm-hmm. And we have quite an archive of music, that's been around for a couple of years now. He's originally from Cleveland. He's musically inclined and always inviting young folks and talented writers, musicians, producers around him. So he has a nice camp, and his music spans, I think, across many different genres and ages. So he's great to work with, because of that.
For sure. And I mean, you guys did amazing work with the track Space, which I love that. Tell me about, how you came up with the concept of that, because, it's very different and relatable, too.
Well, as far as the music is concerned, Yanni and I had done a lot of stuff for Japan and my mixtape, but I said, how about we focus on the classic album now? I want some real music, or at least some elements of real music and instruments on the tracks, live instruments. So I stopped by his studio, The Lighthouse in L.A., and then I took a listen to what he came up with, and I told him what I liked. I handpicked the tracks. And then I began writing my own concept at my hotel. And then we later met up in the studio, and he brought in a writer. Her name is Letitia Hyman.
Mm-hmm.
We call her Tish. So this is our first time meeting, me and Tish, and she went into the booth, and off the top of her head, she came up with a melody that I was like, that's dope. We're keeping that. And so she and I, started kicking around some ideas, and she actually came up with the concept Space, but the concept was a little, very opposite of what it says now. It was originally about needing space and kind of being annoyed with someone. But after listening to the track, I said, this track feels too good for that type of approach. So how about we bring people together instead of separating them? So we just flipped the concept from not wanting or needing space, but kind of like requesting suffocation and the drowning inside of somebody else's love. And that's how it was born. From back and forth and feeding off of each other's energy, which I love. So shout out to Tish and Yanni.
I love that. It's like how you guys flipped it from, what the concept was to be, because, there's so many songs out there that's like, give me space, like get out my way, you're getting on my last nerves.
And that's real too now.
And why can't we just all be together? And trust me.
We have those moments that we do need space. Trust. But I do hear a lot of that. And I do have a lot of songs like Moving On or Case of BX, and those are moments. But I'm trying to make sure that I don't trip off of things and handle it away. But when it's time, it needs to be handled that way. But I would like to put a little bit more positivity into my music, and my life. So that's why space sounds like it does, and that's why the EP is full of love.
And that's a good thing and I got to say it is a good thing, again, that you came out with the EP, and it was something that's a very positive project because, the music that's out now is not like how it was back when you first started. Good and bad, but now we've approached like a sound in music where it's very, I'm going to just say it how it is. It's degrading. It's not like, I love the mainstream music and, being turned up because, I like to act like I can twerk. Just kidding. I don't do that because guys don't twerk. Right, Maya? Right?
I mean, the guys that I hang out with twerk all night long.
Well, I don't. I don't. But I think that I had to say that to crack a little joke.
I know. I know.
But I like the fact that you had that great. You brought back the great sound in music. It was something that was real because we get wrapped up into, getting turned up and ratchet and stuff like that, which is, hey, to each his own. But I don't want to feel that way when I want to feel good or when I want to feel like, damn, that song that Maya got on this EP spoke true to my situation that I went through with so-and-so.
Mm-hmm. Well, I felt like that was lacking from my life. You can always find that in my albums, but I think this approach was, number one, appropriate for Valentine's Day, and that's not about fussing or fighting. It's supposed to be about togetherness and love and celebration of each other and positivity. So this was specifically catered to my fans and appreciation for positivity. But hey, I like to turn up too now, and you can always find that on my Project. But I know what you're saying.